that's our intro music for today because Evans is still in Ghana. Evans has our all of our sound effects, so you're just stuck with my clapping. So anyway, huge thank you for everyone jumping on this week again. We have a very special guest, Oliver Duncan, on the program. If you're not following Oliver on Instagram, I'm not sure what you're doing. Please go follow him now. His IG is in the banner and in the description. And if you're into black and white banger photography, this is your guy. Trust me. And yeah, we're gonna chat all things photography. And oh, Bryan just came on. Look who showed up. And yeah, thanks everyone for jumping on. If you don't know who we are, if you're coming from Oliver's side, we do this weekly photography show every Wednesday, 7:30. We try to get on as many guests as possible, and we have a lot of fun doing it. So you're on my channel, so if you don't know who I am, my name is Paul. Do vlogs, documentaries, host this show from time to time, and go check me out if you're into storytelling, and that's the pitch. And I'll give it over to Bryan. Bryan hasn't been on with us for the past few weeks.
I have not.
He's been working, so welcome back to the program.
Thanks. I've been super busy, so it's good to be back.
Yeah, you were missed.
Thanks. I do YouTube as well, but I do ghost hunting. A little bit different. It's a lot of fun. And,
what's behind you, man?
Ghost.
Yeah,
they're hanging out.
Just waiting.
Yeah, Paul and I have done some videos before at the Oakville Museum, and once it's actually not freezing outside, we're going to go back and do it again.
Yeah, about 3 months.
At night. So
I'm excited. I'm also excited for.
I'll put my link in the description.
Yeah, it's all there.
Beautiful. So check it out. And excited for tonight.
Yeah. So thanks everyone again. Yeah, thanks to everyone for watching, our usual supportive crew and the new people watching. And don't want to take up too much of Oliver's time. So Oliver, for the viewers, why don't you give us a little quick rundown on who you are?
Well, thanks for having me, guys. It's a great honor to be on your show.
It's our honor.
So yeah, I would say for me, my photography journey started back in 2013. So we're talking about 9 years ago now. And it was a specific event that sort of sparked it all. For me, it was, oh, hey, Daniel, how's it going? You just gave me a shout out. Yeah, for me, it was a specific event. It was the birth of my my firstborn, so my son. His name is Oliver as well. And, you know, when that happened, it kind of urged me to go out and capture those moments. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, just capture every single, document everything that was happening, right? So, you know, for me, it wasn't going to suffice for me to just take pictures with my cell phone, right? I needed to have something that was more advanced, something that was more, you know, going to do the job a lot better. So from that time, what I did is I went to Best Buy and I bought my first DSLR, and that was a Canon T3 Rebel.
Love it.
With the kit lens.
That's what I started with, actually.
Yeah, I mean, the sales rep told me at the time it was the best starter camera, and it was. And you know, just going from there and taking the first few shots of my newborn son, I was hooked at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great story, and also I think it's a good story on like when you need to upgrade your gear, because we always like gear, right? But I always ask the question, like, do I need it or do I want it? And obviously you needed it because you needed to document your family, right? In a way that you wanted it to be shown when you look at it 5, 10, 20 years down the road. So I think it's a great story, man. And so now, like what gear are you using right now?
So, well, before I get into that, I mean, it's the gear that I'm using now comes from a long line of trial and error of all these different gears that I've tried in the past. Right. So I guess you could say I had that gear acquisition syndrome.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I speak for a lot of photographers when I say that gear acquisition syndrome is something that we all suffer from once in a while.
We all do, yeah. We all do.
So yeah, like I said, I started with the Canon T3. From there, I realized that, you know, that kit lens wasn't going to do the job for getting low light stuff and for some of the stuff that I wanted to do. So I went through a whole bunch of different glass, some prime lenses and low light stuff. From there, from Canon, I went to, oh, wow, what did I go from to Sony? I went through the whole Sony system. And then I got into Fuji. And then from there...
You're going through it all, man.
Yeah, I think I tried about every system imaginable for any photographer, right?
And with Leica, you found a system that works.
Yeah, exactly. So
because of the stuff you shoot, because of like the low light stuff that you shoot.
Yeah, not just the low light stuff, but the whole approach to how the system works. I find using a rangefinder, and although I'm not using a rangefinder for most of my stuff now, but still using Leica.
So I have to ask before we move on, the Leica stereotype that it's only doctors and lawyers. Do you fit it?
No, I don't fit it at all. No.
Okay.
No, not financially, anyways.
Had to ask.
Yeah, it's expensive gear, but I can see why there's such a big buzz about Leica. The whole rangefinder experience for me was, it was so much more enjoyable, right? Sorry, to answer your question, what I'm using now is a Leica Q2 Monochrome. So it's a combination of, things I've used in the past, especially the Fuji stuff, which I really enjoy. And the whole Leica experience, the whole kind of, the black and white sensor is what really excites me.
Right. Awesome. So like, how did you, I guess, so you started shooting photos of like your family. So how did you make that transition from shooting like your family to like shooting like outside the family, and so like, city life and urban and all that stuff? Like, how'd you make that switch?
Yeah, well, it went from first shooting family stuff and everyday kind of stuff to eventually, people starting to see my stuff and asking me to shoot small weddings and events, and then suddenly I find myself starting to shoot larger weddings and larger events, and then I actually had my own small company, Oliver Duncan Photography, and I was making money here and there and stuff, but I was realizing that in doing those things, I wasn't enjoying myself as much. It wasn't fulfilling.
How come?
I don't know what it was. Well, especially for weddings, I think it comes down to the post-processing. And I think any wedding photographer will tell us, like, maybe shooting the wedding itself can be fun and repetitive sometimes, but the post-editing is just insane. Like, it's and sometimes dealing with difficult clients and stuff, and then like questions like, can I have all the raw files and stuff like that? That kind of stuff I could, that kind of stuff I could do without. So, so I kind of got away from doing that and just realized, like, I needed to get back to what inspired me for photography. And it's just the everyday kind of, even the mundane stuff of what we consider as mundane is where we find inspiration. And that was it.
100%. Especially over the last 2 years, right? Like, it's we've all been stuck, so you need to find a way to kind of keep the discipline going. So just find stuff like around the house, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, some of the most inspirational stuff you can find in the everyday kind of boring stuff that you would normally just ignore and stuff, and it's just right there in front of you. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I can pop up your IG, and maybe for people that haven't seen your work, people can see, and maybe when we can go through a few photos if you like.
Sure.
And then you can see, like, exactly what we're talking about. So it's just stuff like this. Once again, Oliver Monochrome on Instagram. And I asked Leica to sponsor this show, and they're not returning my calls. So Oliver's had to drop his name, which was a good idea. I should have dropped his name and say, hey.
Like I said to you before, I mean, I've spent enough money on Leica gear. Hopefully, they could just do me a favor, kind of, spot me once in a while.
Yeah. It doesn't. Hey, sometimes it doesn't take much, right? It doesn't
exactly. That's right.
So, what I really love about your work is just how you use like light and shadows and just like how you frame people, because it's, to me, it's phenomenal. Like we kind of went through this offline, but we were talking about like shooting overshot things like the Burlington Pier. And I think you managed to capture it in a unique way, because there's a billion photos of this place and they're kind of all the same. So maybe speak on how you approach this shot.
So yeah, I mean, I was I was down at the Burlington Pier, and I realized that that's an item that's probably shot more often than not. And this shot actually happened by chance. I was there for about 2 hours, just walking up and down, enjoying the contrast in the sky and stuff, and the people around. And I happened to be walking away. I was going back to my car, and I guess at the time it was, some sort of a high school event or some sort of field trip.
Yep.
So there was a bunch of high school kids, and they ran past me on the pier, and they ran towards there, and they all rushed up there, and they were, boisterous and rambunctious and stuff. And I just turned around and just took the shot, and the way that the sun was coming out of the clouds and stuff, it just worked perfectly. And I guess that's just one of those shots that like if you wait around and if you have patience, you get that luck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think it's all about patience sometimes, especially when you're trying to do something unique with an overshot location. Is you do need patience, because
right,
like how unless you're extremely lucky and this happens like right away, but nine times out of 10 you need to wait and just pay attention, because it was worth the wait, man. Like it is worth
the wait. Sometimes
this is different.
It's one of those circumstances where it's like, how long do I wait? I mean,
like
sometimes you could be how long, sometimes you're waiting too long than you should, and then
and to me it's like there's just the right amount of people too, because you have both sides of the frame balanced. It's not like there's people on the left side and no people on the right side.
Right,
like, there's people all around.
Yeah,
kind of nice, right?
And I named it Himmelschleiter, sort of like a shout out to Leica, obviously, for the whole German engineering and stuff, and that actually means like the Jacob's ladder, stairway to heaven kind of thing. And that just kind of effect that, I don't know, like it just stood out to me in that way, I guess.
I'm still trying to understand what this thing's all about, this installation's all about, but maybe that's what it means. Maybe it's Jacob's ladder.
I don't know
what it means, bro. I'm sure
is it like a lighthouse or something, or
I don't know. I'm still trying to understand what it means, but I'm sure there's a plaque somewhere that I haven't read. So
right.
And so like, I mean, how much editing have you done with this photo?
You know what? Not much. The good thing about the Leica sensor, the monochrome sensor, it's all just shadows and highlights. So I actually shot this 2 stops underexposed, because I like that moody effect, the whole sort of dark shadows, and I don't want to blow out the highlights too much. So for me, it was just a slight vignette and a little bit of lift in the shadows, and that was pretty much it, really. Yeah,
worth it, man.
Yeah,
I love it. Definitely worth the wait, man. Also, this one that we were speaking about offline again. It's a great shot. And is this just a matter of just waiting around and just looking around you?
Yeah, that's actually Nathan Phillips Square. So right underneath those curved buildings, there's that overpass that curves. It creates a lot of shadows, and when it's sunny, it creates a lot of different highlights and shadows and stuff. And it's just a matter of walking around and just having that patience and seeing what's around you.
Perfect.
So that was under the sort of like the overpass that goes above your head.
Yeah.
And that's a female, and she was actually, that's her shadow. She's actually standing behind the pillar, and just the way the light came in, and it just worked perfectly. And
I love it. And I love how she's kind of like hunched over too. Like I don't know, just something about it that just
something interesting about her.
I don't know. It's not like a horror movie vibe, but there's like a vibe to it where you're not sure what she's doing. But anyway.
She actually happened to be FaceTiming someone, so she's looking down at her phone.
Yeah.
And when I passed the pillar, she was. It looked like she was in some kind of heated discussion with someone.
Oh wow.
So,
Man.
yeah, it's just one of those shots that worked out perfectly.
Yeah. And I'm like, do you remember what time of day this was?
Yeah, I think it was around 3:00.
Oh man.
Yeah.
All right.
It was very sunny that day, so
Yeah.
you know, that's just one of the benefits of having, you know, those
Solid.
that contrast and the highlights, and again, that's where the whole kind of monochrome vibe comes from for me, is those highlights and those shadows and that contrast. It really stands out to me. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%, man. I love it. Also, we were talking about, I mean, there's so many good photos here. Like, it's hard to pick one, but I think we were talking about this one offline. Just again, like, it's winter, right? It looks cold, it looks bleak, it looks dark, but you know, there's always a shot here. So you were telling me that this was a stranger, right? So
that's right. Yeah.
Great.
You know, so this is a pathway that I live in the Waterloo region, and this is a pathway that sort of like stretches from uptown Waterloo down towards Kitchener. You know, and it happened to be really, really foggy that night. The snow was melting, and you know, it's just one of those situations where you look outside and you're like, I feel like going out shooting and seeing what I can find.
Anytime there's fog.
Anytime there's fog, yeah. Right. It just adds that extra mood to whatever you're trying to capture. And you know, I was just walking up and down that path, and there was hardly anyone. And she happened to pass me. You know, hopefully she didn't think I was stalking her or anything like that, but I just turned around and got the shot, and it worked out perfectly. You know?
Yeah, I think it just goes to show you that, like, you know, I always say, like, the hardest part is leaving the house. So
yeah,
you know, especially like in the wintertime when it's not as motivating to go outside. But look at this, look what you got, right? So again, you're just using like a simple street with like a leading line, has a little bend to it.
Yeah,
Fog comes in.
I happened to actually stay in that spot, sort of like walk back, I'd say maybe 40 or 50 meters back and forth because of those leading lines with the lights there. It just worked out. You know, it's just one of those spots, and
man,
that stands up. So
I think it's a great example of just you know, showing there's a photo anywhere, anytime. You just need to obviously put the work in, right? But
that's right. Yeah.
But even this one too, right? Like, is this family, or are these strangers?
No, that's actually at Grand Bend.
Okay.
You know, and it's just a bunch of people just having fun in the sun, right? Like just in the way that, you know, they were just trying to catch a football, and it's just one of those candid moments, I guess. That's what I really like to enjoy to capture, is just people doing their own thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So not like the pose type. You like
no
candid moments.
Yeah. And I think what inspired me to do that is how much I dislike doing weddings.
Right. Because everything's so structured and so rigid, and
yeah, you know, they want this shot and this, you know, everything kind of posed and stuff. So
yeah, no, I
just found for me there was more inspiration in spontaneity, I guess, if you could say, right?
Yeah, I think to me, I think that's what makes it fun photography. Just like the challenge of it, you know, like the challenge where you don't have control over anything.
Right.
Because you go outside and here, go make a photo, but you don't have control over the lighting, people, anything. And you just that's a challenge of it, which I because I really like photojournalism, because you have no control over it. You just have to you have to tell the story with what you have. So to me, I think it's a great form of storytelling. So, and you know, when you're doing that kind of work, I think it's also fulfilling because you feel like you've accomplished something. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, again, you know, going back to the gear that I'm using, that's what I appreciate about the Leica gear. It's so unsuspecting, and you know, especially the monochrome stuff. It's all blacked out. There's no red dot, and
Right.
you know, it's small, the lenses are small, the equipment's small,
like-
and it's
like the James Bond of camera gear. No one knows
yeah,
it's there.
exactly.
No one knows it's
That's
there.
right.
You just roll up. No one knows what happens.
That's
I
right.
shoot with a Canon M6 Mark II for that reason. Nobody expects it to be as good as it is. It doesn't look like a professional camera.
Right.
It's just a small little mirrorless camera. So I've done photo shoots inside like old Navy stores, and nobody bats an eye at it just because of the size of the camera.
Right.
It's just the bigger the camera, the more intimidating it is to people.
Of course.
I think the best experience I had for street photography when I was shooting the Leica M10D, and that's the digital camera without the screen on the back.
Okay.
So all it has is an ISO dial on the back. It looks like a film camera. And you know, it's strange because either people ignore you because they think it's just, or they don't even see you. I mean, there's not no long lens, and you know, it's not intrusive, whatever. Or people stop you and say, "Oh, what kind of camera is that?" And you know, you turn the back of it, and it looks like a film camera. Yeah. And it's even got the advance lever on it, which is crazy, right? So, yeah, that I was able to get a lot of different dynamic shots and stuff. It was a pleasure to use that camera. I love that camera.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Are there any photographers that inspire you, like in the city or outside the city, like that kind of inspire you to like with your work?
Yeah, absolutely. If you go on Instagram, if you look up Alan Schaller, I'm sure
a lot. A or E?
Alan with an A, Schaller, Schaller. He's based out of the UK. His stuff is just, it's all monochrome, and he shoots with a, I believe it's a 24 millimeter.
Okay.
But some of the
international.
Yeah, I mean, this guy inspires me like you wouldn't believe.
Jeez.
Yeah. The way that he captures people and landscapes, everything is just, and he uses the M10 monochrome as well, right? But like what really surprises me is how he gets these shots out of a 21 millimeter. It's, or sorry, 24 millimeter. It's unreal.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And look at the detail and the contrast and the composition. Is just, everything is just amazing.
Wow. Solid. Solid. Huh.
I expect someone like Bresson is someone you follow as well.
Yep.
Classic.
Yeah.
Obviously for the landscapes stuff as well, Ansel Adams. I mean,
of course,
that's just the king of landscapes, I guess you could say. You know, and a lot of black and white stuff, and it's very inspirational stuff. Joan Landford as well. I believe she was a Toronto photographer.
Is she on Instagram? Must be.
Sorry?
Is she on Instagram?
I'm not sure. I'm sure some of our stuff is on Instagram.
Bresson, there's like a tribute account.
Yeah.
On his for
I'm sure there's multiple tribute accounts on her. Right?
Well, I'm looking for the blue check mark.
And what inspired me about
there's
her
actually a verified Ansel Adams account too. I just checked.
Oh, is that really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Oliver, you were saying?
What inspired me about her is that, you know, photography wasn't her main focus in life. It wasn't her career. It was, you know, secondary. Well, you know, even tertiary, I guess you could say, like, you know, having, I think it was she had like 8 kids or something like that. And,
wow,
you know, and just, you know, it just kind of speaks to what photography can be to all of us, I guess. Like, you know, we all have such busy lives, and but get out as much as you can shoot, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean that's I mean, it means something different to everyone, right? Like, not everyone wants to become a professional photographer. People just want to do it on the weekends too. Like, you don't have to become a professional,
right?
You know. also, you know, on social media, you always see like the hero shots and always like the wins, but you know, you rarely see like not the losses, but not the photos that lead up to like the hero shot, right? So I think,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're starting out in photography, I think it's intimidating because it's like, well, I have this shot. How can I get the shot that I see on social media, right? But
Right.
you don't see like the work that leads up to, like, kind of like what you did at the pier in Burlington. Like, you waited, you know, for how many hours to get that shot. No one knows how long
Yeah.
you were there for
Right.
to get
Right.
that shot. You know, they just see the shot and say, well, I got this shot. How come it's not as good, right? So it's always the battle, like, internally. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what kind of, you know, not pushes people off photography, but it doesn't motivate. Like, it doesn't help them get motivated to like leave the house. So I'm always like preaching, well, just like, you know, use like a 30-minute challenge. Use your phone and see what you can come up with.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause at
For
the very
sure.
least, it's a distraction at the very least, right? It's a stress
I mean,
reliever,
for me, it's,
distraction.
you know, like I don't think there's been a time recently where I've left the house without my camera.
Right. You always have it on
Yeah.
you.
Always, you know,
Solid.
you never know what you're gonna come across, and it's the, you know, the mundane and the kind of everyday kind of lifestyle that you live. Like
Yeah.
you never know, you might see something. So that's why I
Yeah.
take it with me. And some of the best shots I believe that resonate with me the most. It's
Yeah.
out of that spontaneity and that
Just another
unexpected.
boring Monday morning. Well, look at this.
Right.
And then boom,
Yeah.
your whole day is better just because of that shot.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, look what I
That's right.
got. Just
That's
another
right.
Monday. Just throw it up on IG. Here you go. You're welcome. So, no, that's great, man. I think, like I keep saying, the hardest part's leaving the house. But you obviously leave the house with your camera. So like,
I do. Yeah.
it's a no-brainer. I guess maybe for people that are in the chat now, or like, you know, listening or watching later, like people that are getting started in photography or having a hard time, like what's some advice for people to get motivated when you don't feel as motivated? Like, do you have any like practices or process or tricks that you use to get motivated sometimes?
Yeah, I would say, you know, like we touched upon it, is just bring the camera everywhere you go, right? Never leave the home without it. Shoot everything. Shoot anything that you see, anything that inspires you, or anything that kind of doesn't inspire you even. If you see something, if you're looking at something, take a photo of it. It's obviously grabbed your attention, so why not capture it?
Right.
And
Sure.
I mean, that's worked for me. That's I feel that's what's made me a better photographer and made me enjoy it more. Is, you know, and another thing is find beauty in the mundane, and that's what's happened with me. It's there's a lot of
especially like over the last 2 years, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
it's challenged everyone, right?
I mean, how mundane has it been over the past 2 years,
right? Like, how did you what did you focus on like over the last 2 years? Like, was it just family and your children, or did you try to do something different? Did you try to document COVID some way?
I did try to document COVID, but I kind of found that was a bit too mundane, I guess you could say. It was nothing that was inspiring, and there's nothing really inspiring about COVID. But you know what? Funny enough, funny story is, I actually had a serious injury to my knee, which caused me to have surgery, and I was pretty much home for, I would say, 4 or 5 months. So not being able to go out and shoot at all, right? Not being able to go out and do street photography or anything like that. So what that did was force me to dig into my archives and look at some of the pictures that I thought weren't good at the time, but there was something behind them when you look at them, when you give them a second look.
Yes.
And there's a bunch of pictures on my Instagram that, you know, after a little bit of, you know, some sort of like Lightroom manipulation and this and that, it's actually a great photo. And it, you know, so again, it comes down to taking as many pictures as you can and just storing them and coming back to them. Maybe you'll find some inspiration later on, right?
Yeah,
and that's what happened. So
I think there's a few things there. I think like the more you shoot, I think the more you're gonna understand what you like to shoot. right? Because if you're always shooting landscape, how do you know if you may like shooting street, but you never tried shooting street? So, you know, people always say you should have a niche, which is probably true, but at the same time, like, feel free to experiment with other styles because you never know what you're gonna like. Because maybe you're gonna evolve from a wedding photographer into an urban photographer. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think there's a lot of pressure to have a niche and stick with the niche. Once you become a wedding photographer, you can't become anything else.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's not like that's not true, right? You can always evolve.
Well, when you experiment around too, you pick up skills that you can take into your other fields. Of course.
Mm-hmm. Like how else are you going to like grow as like a photographer if you're not like doing other things and like
that's right.
Using different like gear and systems and editing.
Yeah, I mean that goes back to, you know, that whole gear acquisition syndrome. I mean, I was going through a phase where I was kind of obsessed with what kind of lens do I need? What kind of camera, or how many megapixels, or how much low light stuff am I doing? Is it a wide angle or this and that? And you know, there's no rule, there's no, you know, sort of like definitive way of doing things with photography. And it's
which is what I like. It's like it's not physics where, you know, 1 + 1 is always 2. Like it's you can, you know, once you understand the rules of photography, you can always break them. But I mean, like shoot everything all the time because that's just how you learn and grow. Like, I mean, it sounds so simple, yet it's so like if you do it over time, like you really pick up quite a bit. Like consistently, right? And also, like once you do that, once you shoot a lot, then you have the archive, right? Now you have this archive of photos that you took like years ago, and you documented like your process, like your journey as a photographer, which I think is super cool.
Absolutely. I mean, I've happened to go back into the archives and I've found images from systems that I thought were inferior to Leica. I mean, I get it. Leica is its own sort of, it's in its own atmosphere or whatever. But like, for example, this photo behind me, that's of Lake Louise, and that's actually shot with a Panasonic G9. I mean, so that's a micro Four Thirds sensor, right? And you wouldn't think that you could get that kind of detail or that kind of mood from a photo like that. And
the marketing machines of the camera companies are the worst enemy of photography.
Yeah, exactly. They know what they're doing, right? That's why they're in marketing.
They're there to make money, man. They're there to make money. That's all they want.
I mean,
the Rebel T3 that you started on, I did my first magazine photo shoot with. The Rebel T3 and a Nifty 50.
Oh, the Nifty 50, yeah. What is that like? What's the price of that lens? Like $110 or something like that?
It was 110 at the time, yeah.
Yeah, and then you compare that to a 50 Summicron from Leica, and it's what, $5,000 or something.
Yeah.
So.
But the magazine editor didn't care about the gear.
Yeah,
they just cared about the shot. That I captured the mood she wanted. So.
Yeah. I mean, gear is so deceiving, right? Sometimes because clients don't really care. Like, okay, like you're rocking with that. Okay, well, can you deliver? Yeah. Okay, well, show me, right? That's all they care about. Like, show me what you got, right? Like,
the Get Out Shoot blog post I wrote where I ended it with, I've never had a client ask me what camera I was using.
Yeah, is that
unless they were asking for advice on what to buy for themselves.
Right. Yeah, they don't care and they don't know. They just want get me this shot. It's us bloggers that care more, right? It's like, oh, I only have this. Can I get away with this at this shoot? It's, you know, it's not the gear, it's not the camera, it's the photographer that makes the shot. Like if you understand how to use your gear inside and out, you can rock it with a crop sensor, man. It doesn't matter.
Yep. I mean, I've seen some amazing shots. I haven't done any myself, but like some amazing shots that shot with an iPhone even. Or a camera phone, and
Time magazine was shot on an iPhone one year. No, the cover of Time was shot on an iPhone.
Yeah,
so. Which one was that?
Hillary Rodham Clinton on the cover of Time magazine shot with an iPhone 4.
I didn't see that. Really? Wow.
It was a few years ago, but I mean,
a couple of years back now.
Yeah.
That's not the only time it's happened.
Yeah.
Was it Chase Jarvis said the best camera is the one you have with you?
It's true though. Like it's so
true.
Simple, but like, you know, you got your phone, you got your camera, you know, do something with it. Again, you know, the majority of the time it's all about composition, right? Like if
Yeah.
you get the composition nailed down, you're already winning. Like you're like, you know, like the shot that you did at the Burlington Pier and all that, and the one at Nathan Phillips with the lady.
Mm-hmm.
If that lady wasn't there, if that group of kids wasn't there, the photo wouldn't be as good because you don't have that same like mood, right? You don't have the
That's
same
right.
effect, right? So like the
Yeah.
composition is so important. And you know,
You know, for
all
me,
you-
like if only I learned that lesson sooner, then maybe I'd be living in a bigger house
we've
right
all
now.
been, yeah. But we always say that, right? Oh, if I only learned this, you know, sooner, or
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
that, you know, it's just like that's just the way it goes, right? That's just like the journey of it. But you know, obviously you do a good job of documenting like your journey, which I think is super cool because like you've already looked back on it. So even like 10 years from now, you're gonna look back at the stuff you're doing now and say, man, that was really cool, right? Because you're
Yeah.
seeing like the progress. So that's what I always tell people. Like, just find a way to like doesn't have to be photography. It could be another way to document, but just have a way to like look back at what you're doing because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think it's fun and fulfilling sometimes, and it just makes I don't know. It makes to me it's more rewarding when you're just like documenting what you're doing and just seeing, okay, I got to learn this next week, next month goals, and I don't know. Like it's just like you can get so overwhelmed with like just trying to get the hero shots all the time. You kind of
Yeah.
forget like why you started. Like why am I doing this? Like,
Right. Yeah.
what's happening? Like
I make that mistake so many times. You know,
like,
you go outside and you know you've got the intention to get that perfect shot, and it's
yeah.
you know what you're looking for, and then most of the time you never find it, and you find something else. Right? And
It's weird, man. Like the times that you try the hardest, like those are the times
Yeah.
that nothing happens. Like you're just like
That's
crickets,
it.
you know, like you're just
Yep.
standing by yourself in the middle of a road, crickets. Like, well, I guess I can go home now because you tried so hard, right? But when you're
Yeah.
like what you said, like just shooting the mundane, we're not even like really trying. You're just kind of like walking around. That's when you get the good stuff because you're not really forcing the moment.
Right. Yep.
You know?
That's it.
You can't.
That's what that's what I like so much about street photography. It's that spontaneity, and you know, you never know what you're gonna see.
Like to happen, man. You can't force it. You know, I was watching someone talk about documentaries, and they're saying a good documentary, you can't force life to happen. You just have to wait and just, you know, you can't force something to happen. So I think that speaks well to photography, where if you're shooting street or if you're doing photojournalism or something like that,
mm-hmm.
you gotta be patient and just let it unfold. And when the moment happens, be ready to take the shot.
That's right. Yeah.
So
what I found for myself is, where my inspiration originated from was obviously in my children.
Yeah.
So there's one particular shot on my Instagram that has the most likes out of any photo I've ever posted.
Do you want me to show it or no?
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead. And it's of my daughter Abigail and my son Oliver. Okay. It's called Second Nature. Okay. And I think for me, when I've shot a photo that wasn't that one. No, it's further down. Keep going. That one. Sorry. Oh, go up.
This one?
So the one where that one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Really nice.
That's nice.
Where was it shot?
This was shot just at a park, like a local park in Kitchener. Yeah. But just the way that the sun was and the weather was that day, and it was sort of gloomy, but the sun was peering through the horizon there, and it was just the kids are just being second nature, just doing their own thing. And for me, like a shot like that is where I'm finding my inspiration and why I do photography, and what drives me, right? And so for example, that is just an everyday thing. I'm always hanging out with my kids, and the most beauty comes out of a photo like that, just enjoying everyday life.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
Wow. And you got the sun star just like poking out there too.
Yeah, it just happened to just be one of those incidences where it was like, it just works, right?
Yeah, no, and the shadows, it's great, man. Yeah, it's just you can't force life to unfold. You just gotta let it happen. So
yeah.
which is great.
And
I
kids,
think
kids being kids, they hide nothing, right? There's no,
right.
inhibition. So they make the best, for me, they make the best subjects for photography.
Yeah, absolutely. There's just a sense of like wonder and like innocence and
Yeah.
absolutely, man. It's great. Yeah, it's a beautiful shot, Kim, for sure, for sure. So like, do you have any goals as a photographer that you want to hit like in your career? Like, do you maybe special
I
projects?
used to, prior to COVID, I used to want to start my own, photography business and do it as a full-time thing and, do weddings and stuff. But that's changed recently. Yeah, my aspiration, I'd say, would be, or ambition would be, to just take more photos and just enjoy myself.
Right.
And not to make it a career, just to
right.
keep it as something.
You don't want to make it work. You don't want to make it
no,
work. No. It's good though. I like that. It's good because I think sometimes we all wish that our passion was a career, and then sometimes when that happens, you don't like it as much because it becomes work.
Yeah.
So I think that's a cautionary tale. There's nothing wrong with, following your passion to make it your career, but there's always that other side where the grass isn't as green sometimes. Like there is stuff that you have to put up with that sometimes we don't think about because we just, I want to just travel the world and shoot photos. And I'm like, okay, well, did you think about like this? And meanwhile, it's like a long list of stuff that you have to deal with, right? So
that's right. Yeah.
I think once you know what you want out of what you're doing, I think it becomes a lot clearer too. And that way you have more enjoyment because then you're not putting pressure on yourself to become something that you don't want to be, right? Because that doesn't make any sense.
That's right.
I
mean, sometimes I'll, do the odd wedding here and there for someone close to me or something like that. But, it's nothing career breaking or anything like that.
No, it's good, man. I like that. You gotta keep the passion alive, right? Because once that's gone, it becomes difficult to pick up that camera, right? So,
right, yeah,
exactly. Do you have any spots like in the area or in Canada that you want to hit, or just maybe like spots around the world that you want to hit yourself?
I love the West Coast. I never had the opportunity to go out west, say like Vancouver or the mountains and stuff, see the Rockies and with a Leica, and I would like to do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The Maritimes is try to get Leica to sponsor your trip.
Yeah, I hope they're listening.
Leica, if you're listening, I'm gonna tag Leica with the show.
Yeah,
and then I'll try to pitch it for you, man. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, all throughout Canada, I'd love to experience. Even the East Coast and the Maritimes, I'd love to.
Yeah, Bryan's an East Coast guy.
Oh, really?
East Coast.
Yeah.
Nice. Love the East Coast.
He's got some bangers out there.
Yeah, awesome. It's great for photos out there.
Yeah,
I bet. Yeah. Europe, the Alps, especially Switzerland, like that's just amazing kind of stuff. I was born in the UK myself, and I'd love to go back there and do some street photography, especially London.
Whereabouts in the UK?
North London. So, north of London, Bedfordshire.
Okay.
I was born there, and I'd love to go back there and shoot the old neighborhood and.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, why not? I think that's once again that you're like documenting like where you grew up and all that.
Right. Yeah.
Like, do you have family there, or is just?
I do. Yeah, still have family there. Sort of scattered out throughout London and stuff. So I have the opportunity to go. It's just the time and the. And the finances to actually get out there. It's an expensive place, I guess.
Leica, if you're listening.
Yeah.
Let's help a guy out for sure.
Yeah. Spot me a trip or two.
Well, it doesn't take much. Just it doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
But, they always need content, don't they? They always need some sort of content.
I think they do. Yeah, I mean they're always
especially your content. Like, geez, like like, hello. But anyway, it is what it is. So like, what are what's kind of like some things that you learned like along the way that really stick out to you? Like, was it people that you met along the way, or were there certain things that happened to you like along the way that helped you grow as a photographer? Like stuff that sticks out to you?
Yeah, I would say, especially the whole social media aspect of things. Being on Instagram, what I like about Instagram is very photography focused. And I've connected with countless other photographers and sharing ideas and talking about gear and talking about different techniques and stuff. So to be a part of that photography community is, it's so valuable. You can learn so many different things. I mean, I've met so many different people, and been on photography walks in Toronto. I don't know if you've been part of those, but
just
a few, yeah. You share so many ideas and stuff. So people, for me, photography is all about people. It's about I mean, you can shoot the landscapes and the all the studio stuff, but for me, it's been about those different connections with so many different kinds of people, and their journey and their stories, right?
Yeah, I think that's the power of Instagram, is just like being able to connect with people. Like, that's something where the power lies. Like, yeah, you can post photos and get likes and get followers, but I think the power is like actually talking to people.
Absolutely.
Because like, ever since like Instagram was deemed not a photography app anymore, it's I don't know, it's becoming, I don't know. To me, it's like people are like less motivated to post on Instagram because it's not primarily a photo app anymore. So if you use it as a way to connect with people, I think that's where the power lies. Because I don't know, that's just again like how you learn and grow, right? Are you on Twitter at all? Because there's a lot of photographers that move to Twitter now, especially like NFTs. Like, are you into NFTs at all?
No.
It's a crazy world, man.
Twitter, really, for photography?
Twitter, man. People are moving over there. Yeah, people are moving to Twitter now.
I wonder how much the recent news is going to affect that as well.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows what Elon's going to do with Twitter?
Yeah.
Could be a total S show. Who knows, man? But yeah, people move to, especially with NFTs, because on Twitter you can have like spaces, so it's basically like chat groups.
Right.
And always like chat groups about NFTs, and there's always like 1 billion people in these spaces. So yeah, NFTs, man, it's a crazy world, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ever changing, every day, every hour. But yeah, I don't know. Check out Twitter, man. If you got some time.
Yeah, I should.
Throw up an account. And
I did have a Facebook account, and I kind of got away from that because it was a lot of I just found it a bit too broad for me. But
no one really uses Facebook though.
No,
not much.
I know. I guess that's a thing of the past, right?
It is.
It's
people
good for keeping in touch with family, but that's about it.
Yeah.
You know what I wanted to do actually is I've done a few sort of like reels, I guess.
Yeah.
What they're called on Instagram. The whole process of taking a photo. You know what I mean? So sort of like filming, doing a video of what it takes to get that photo and leading up to it, and then showing the last finished kind of.
Yeah.
I guess TikTok would be good for that, but
TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, it's all people.
Yeah.
People want micro content,
right?
Because Instagram is pretty more focused on video because they have to compete with TikTok, they have to compete with YouTube, so that's why they're focusing more on the video side. But yeah, if you can connect with people and actually talk to them, I think that's pretty wild too, right? Because now you're actually getting like a real interaction instead of like a like or a follower, which I don't know, sure, but it's not really real. Like you get, it's not real. But once you have a conversation, that becomes more real. So
right.
That's what I always tell people too, especially on Instagram, where I don't know, you just scroll, you just like constant scrolling, man. Like you just have like you just have like this the slot machine effect, and you just like you don't even know when to stop. Like you just keep going. Right?
It's addictive, isn't it? Yeah.
It is, and you have to be disciplined on how you use how you use social media, and you know, if you don't, then it can become not very good, right?
Right.
But yeah, man, just like people, man, like you've always got to remember there's always someone behind the account.
Yep.
Because we're so used to like just like, you know, comments, like, you know, it's like, well, there's actually someone there that you can talk to.
Right.
And usually, you know, honestly, like most people are willing to talk though if you ask them. You'd be surprised. Like,
They
how
are.
many people will say yes, they'll talk. I think we have this perception sometimes that, like, you know, they're gonna say no. Like we just tell ourselves that they're gonna say no, but usually they'll say yes. You just ask them. Especially if they live in the Toronto area or the GTA or whatever it is.
Well, I guess they're used to that interaction, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. It's all about like growing too. You know, instead of scrolling, like why don't you try to like do something a little bit productive and try to strike up a conversation with someone that you really admire too.
That's right. Yeah.
You never know. You never know what could happen if you try to like DM whoever.
I could tell you one other thing that struck out to me, I guess, along the journey, is for gear wise, or the whole photography experience wise, is there's freedom and limitation. So meaning, you know, if you're going to go out and you want to just take photos, you just want to enjoy yourself, just take one camera and one lens and just enjoy yourself.
We always preach that, man. Less is more.
Less is more, right?
Simplify your life. Simplify 100%. Your life.
I mean, the gear I'm using now is it's a great camera, the Q2 Monochrome Leica, and it's, you know, a 28 millimeter, and you know, it just does everything.
Yeah.
You know,
is it light? Is it heavy? Is it light? Is it heavy?
It's like so light. It's so light. It's and it's so unsuspecting. It's all black, and
it's a James Bond of photography, man.
Yeah, exactly. Where is it? I got it here.
Throw it up for Leica, man. Throw it for Leica. Let's use this as the pitch. Yeah. Hey, Leica, go sponsor my guy Oliver. Eh? He needs to go to the West.
That actually looks bigger than the one I use.
Yeah, what do you think that's worth for marketing? Right? Me showing
man, that's $100,000 right there, man.
But you know, people have stopped me and they say, "Hey, is that a film camera or like?" Yeah, you know, and it doesn't have that big, like long gray lens or the, and it does everything, right? And it's
I love shooting
the whole limitation.
To 400, but whenever I bring that big lens out, people just kind of dissolve away. Like nobody. It's so hard.
People get kind of intimidated by that, right?
Yeah, it attracts so much attention when I bring that lens out that I almost never bring it out.
Is it gray too, or is it
white?
Kind of like
it's one of the Canon L lenses.
Yeah. So it kind of stands out, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. It looks hilarious when I put it on my little body, but.
Hey man, we always say this, not the size. That's what we say. When people ask you, is that film? You're like, no, it's Leica. And then you just walk away. And that's the commercial, man. That's the commercial right there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the pitch. We're going to use Leica. We'll see what happens.
I wonder if they're listening. They could use that as
their buddy, I'm gonna tag them after this.
We have to hashtag Leica.
I will.
Hashtag Oliver to London.
Yeah.
Buddy, if that happens,
first class. Hashtag first class.
There we go.
Imagine your next story on Instagram is just you on a plane going, "Thanks, Leica."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Wow.
Bryan, that might be our greatest accomplishment of this show if we actually get that to happen.
There we go.
Because if that happens and Rocket.ca doesn't sponsor us, something is terribly wrong.
Damn, Rocket.ca.
Something is terribly wrong. Anyway, that's another story for another time, Oliver.
Yeah. I got to talk to them.
Man. Yeah, well, it's a long story. Anyway.
Yeah.
That's great. We're coming up to the hour, so I don't know if you have any final thoughts, Oliver. Do you have any questions for us, maybe, like that you want to like pester us with, or?
Well, yeah. I mean, I could take another hour of your time, I guess, with the questions I have. But you know what Bryan's told me what gear he's using. What are you using, Paul?
Yeah, so I have two systems. I do video with a Lumix G7.
Nice.
A Micro Four Thirds. And then for the photo side, I use a Nikon system.
Oh, the Z6 or Z7?
D10.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. That's one of the systems I've been through as well. I love the whole Nikon, the Z system. That was fantastic.
I think one of our buddies had the Z. He liked it a lot.
Oh yeah, amazing.
Kim has a Z6, doesn't she?
Kim, you have a Z6?
I thought Kim had the Z6. I could be wrong, but
so do you find the Micro Four Thirds system better for video? Like it's
not bad for photo, but like for the video side, it's a lot easier to use.
And what about for low light video? Like it's still fine.
It does its job. I mean, there could be improvements because I think Lumix Panasonic just dropped their latest model, I think.
Okay.
But it works.
Yeah.
I was doing low light theater shots with that T3.
Yeah.
Clients don't care about noise. Photographers do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. Yep.
That should be on a T-shirt, man.
If you've got the emotion of the scene and a performance, they don't care if it's a bit noisy. They really don't.
And you're also like getting moments. Like you're trying to capture the moment of the show.
Exactly.
So either
you want to capture the emotion.
Either you get it or you don't. Like there's no. Oh, there's a little bit of grain here. Can you not do that next time?
Yeah, emotion trumps anything.
Man, emotion does.
Pure raw emotion just wins.
Yeah,
always.
Like, you get that moment bang on, you're golden.
Yeah.
You're golden.
Yeah.
Right. Do you guys get out to do photo walks and stuff? When's the next one?
I don't know.
Probably be one this weekend.
There's a photo shoot on Saturday, I think, at Graffiti Alley that we're doing.
Oh, cool.
I lead night walks in the city.
Bryan does night walks once a month, once every 6 weeks or something like that. So Bryan usually has an army of people with him. So
I'd definitely like to come along.
Come out, man. You gotta come out.
Yeah, the night walks are fun. There's usually like 60, 70 people for a night walk.
Yeah, it's an army. It's like we're on the news and everything. It's crazy. I'm sure.
And that's downtown Toronto, is it mostly, or
usually?
Okay.
Well, let me know. You've got you've DM'd me and.
Oh, you gotta come out now, man. We gotta see you in action. We gotta see. How you get these shots.
That's right. I'm able to walk now, so I'm out and about.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. For sure. Yeah.
See the mythical Leica.
Totally, man. But yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate you taking the time. I don't want to take up too much of your time.
No, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I'd like to give a shout out, if I may.
Yes.
Daniel Dunlop. I know you're listening. Daniel Dunlop, the Stash. He goes by on Instagram.
Stash.
Shout out for you. You're a great inspiration. I'll see you soon, and I'll talk to you, and we'll talk about our gear acquisition syndrome.
Oh.
Yeah, we struggle with that together, and he knows exactly what I'm talking about.
You guys should do a podcast about that.
We should. Yeah.
You and him. I think it'd be great.
There you go.
Call it GAS, Gear Acquisition Syndrome.
Yes,
that's the name of your show. He said hey.
Hey, Ollie.
Daniel's the dude, eh?
Daniel's the dude. Yep.
Cool, man.
And
is he in your area?
He is. Yeah, he's in Waterloo region.
Okay.
We
should do a meetup in your area, man, in the summertime.
Yeah, you should. There's not much to see out here, but I mean, we could always find something.
Figure out something. He's on board with the I don't know, the podcast idea or just like talking to Oliver.
All of it. All of it.
The whole thing.
Yeah, he's a lot like me. He's been through about just every system, and once you get your hand on something, you kind of you try it out, you have second thoughts and third thoughts, and you're like, should I trade this and get this or?
Okay. Hey Dan, if you want to come to the show sometime, let us know. Where's the info for the night photo walks? I'll put the podcast is down.
When we do the night photo walks, it gets posted on Get Out Shoot Meetup. So
you go there.
There aren't any posted right now. I was going to do one this Saturday, but I'm shooting the orchestra season finale, so it won't be this Saturday.
Okay.
But most definitely, I want to get out with you guys, and we'll do it up.
We'll do something, man.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's it. Thanks everyone for watching. Hope you took away a couple of things. Bryan, any final thoughts, man?
Just shoot stuff. That's it. Just get out there, shoot, and have fun doing it. That's it.
Having fun is the most important part. Yes, yeah. Kim has his Z6.
That's it for me. Oh, and make sure you follow Paul on YouTube. Make sure you follow me on YouTube.
Follow all the links. All the links are in the
All the links.
description. Hit the links. Follow
There
everyone.
you go.
Follow the world. You know how it goes. Thanks everyone for watching. This show will be on Spotify. I will be tagging Leica and trying to get Oliver to London. So we'll see if that happens. If that's happening, I'm going to be on board making videos with Oliver. I think it'd be a great story. And yeah, we'll see you next week for, I think we have another guest next week, so we'll stay tuned for that. And Oliver, hang back for 2 minutes when we go offline. And we'll see you next week. Evans is still in Ghana. We're not sure if he's ever coming back. So until then, we have this depressing outro music of a single clap. And we'll see you next week. Have a great evening.
Thanks, everyone.